What's going on, pre-Chiro students? It's Dr. Ben Glass, your chiropractor, who's just introducing you to different pathways that you can take in your process of becoming a chiropractor. So today we're in discussion with Dr. Jackie Manfre. Dr. Jackie, thanks so much for taking some time to share your insights with the students. And can you just get us started by introducing yourself and sharing what your background was before becoming a chiropractor and what attracted you to this path?
Sure, yeah. Thank you for having me here. It's always fun to share and talk, and I love working with students, and so it's just nice to, be part of the journey for them. So I'm Dr. Jackie Manfre. I have a practice in New Jersey, and I work with animals and people, and I've been in practice for 10 years, my own personal office for 8 years. I graduated Life University in 2011. And prior to that, I actually just went straight to chiropractic school out of high school. Just went straight to life. I was 16 when I knew that I wanted to be a chiropractor. There are no other chiropractors in my family. It just happened that way for me. And so I went down to Life University and I did my biology degree and got my chiropractic degree, and the rest is life on the job and learning about the universe and everything it has to offer through this beautiful thing we do in chiropractic. It's a wild ride, and I love it.
Can you paint a picture for your particular process? Like, what were you attracted to in chiropractic school? What did you study? Who were some of the influences and mentors that you had that helped shape the type of chiropractor and the type of practice that you've developed for yourself?
Sure, yeah. I think something that was really evident to me when I first got to school is I didn't know, like, any of the politics or the history. I just knew that something had called me. I knew something lit up in me. I knew this is what I was supposed to do, and I was just on it. And so when I got to school and started hearing about, like, all these chiro kids and all the things going on and all these famous speakers and Reggie Gold and all these things, I was like, no clue. Great. Let's go. Let's go. And I just went to everybody I could. I went to every philosophy night I could. I went to every hands-on club seminar that I could. And it just kind of started to shape my understanding. Not being taught, not being indoctrinated with what other people thought or saw, but just really innately being led to let myself learn. I let myself be the perfect sponge for my own journey. And it was really important. I think that's really, really important because everybody's journey and everybody's aspect of chiropractic that they bring to the table for the people that they're going to serve is uniquely you. That's where the art of this comes in. It's your art coming forward. And it's really important that you are led and allow yourself to go through that process. I did everything in school, not everything, but a lot. I really loved activator. I really love upper cervical work. I was full spine club president. And what shifted gears for me that really got me onto the path that I am now is I have a memory of being in our outreach clinic. I was going to observe, and one of my upper classmates, he was a little further along in the program than I was, he entrained me. And I was just like, what the hell was that? That was amazing. I don't know what just happened. And it just like, I didn't do anything with it at the time, but I was very struck by how powerful that was. And it wouldn't be until maybe a year or so later, I was struggling in school to stay. I felt this, the thing that had lit me up in chiropractic had started to dwindle. And I was looking and looking for the truth, this truth that I knew to be so inherent inside of me and what I knew chiropractic to be. No matter how many times people talked about it, the beautiful philosophy, it wasn't showing me the application of it. Where does that beautiful talk meet the physicality and the humanity and the body? Where does that go? I felt like it was getting lost. And I was very seriously considering leaving school. And I don't know what I didn't know what I was going to do. I was looking at, like, I didn't know anything about Reiki, but I was like, maybe it's a Reiki master I need to go find and go train under. I have no idea. And very synchronously, I said a prayer in that moment. I said, I don't know what to do. I'm giving it up. I don't know what to do right now. And less than a week later, I was in a head-on car crash on my way to school, and it stopped my life in its tracks. I was fine, but it literally turned me down this path that led me to Sue Brown and BGI and my chiropractic tribe. And I've never looked back. BGI was my foundation of who I am as a chiropractor, no doubt. It made sense of all it made sense of everything that I felt. It made sense of everything in my brain. I have a very like, I need to know how this works kind of brain. And I'm also very intuitive. I always was since a kid. And I had no idea what to do with those skills, but BGI gave them a home to flourish and to grow and to figure themselves out. And it satisfies the really brainy pieces of things. And it satisfies the really heartfelt, centered, connecting authentically with people. It gave that a home. It made me a chiropractor. So yeah,
If
that's my,
if we're walking down the path with a pre-Chiro student and we come to BGI, what do they see? What are some of the areas of study? What are some of the ways that BGI contextualizes chiropractic and allows you to explore this path of logic?
sure. So with BGI, what you'll see and hear on the outside is it looks like, if you're just watching it, it looks like a tonal technique, which it is, but it's actually not a technique either. What you see is what people have picked up on from Sue Brown, who was the founder of it, who had her background in network. And so a lot of it becomes mimicry, and that's kind of how the story of BGI has gotten passed on. However, BGI is a framework for understanding nature and applying those concepts to the body. So when we break everything down to its smallest piece, I was looking for my shapes. When we break everything down to its smallest piece, it's geometry. And geometry is mathematics through nature, mathematics in living structures. And when you understand the body in its geometric connections, you can understand its connections. And when you can understand its connections, you can understand how this person stored this experience. And when you can understand how they've stored their experience, you can understand how to connect with them. When you understand how to connect with them, you can help them connect with themselves. When they connect with themselves, that's where life is born from. And so it stair steps you in. And it's not about being a tonal technique at all. It's about meeting people where they really, really are, and not fitting them into the box of, oh, you're subluxated at C1 and we need to address that. Yes, but no. Where is it really? And are your parameters for checking for a subluxation strictly misalignment, structural, lack of range of motion, whatever? Because those might be symptoms of the other stuff that's actually holding it. And so it helps organize the information. So you learn and understand ligaments and their component in the subluxation patterns. You learn muscle, you learn emotions, you break it down and just keep going. You learn and understand what these things feel like for the most part, but you really start to understand how to build a more three-dimensional picture of what this body has done, so that when you do deliver the adjustment, it's a clean shot straight through the system, both for the experience themselves, because you do kind of have to hold that for people when you're adjusting them. You can't just adjust them and think that you're going to help them. You have to be with them a little bit more, and that's more like the innate stuff that we tend to talk about. People we know what to do. We know we need to, like, get in there, and it just felt right, that kind of thing. Yeah, it feels right, and there's a reason why it feels right. And BGI breaks that down into why it feels right and how do you make that be applicable every time you adjust, and it's not just a feeling. So does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It does, absolutely. And one of the themes that you touched on multiple times in your describing of this way of seeing the body, of seeing a person, of working with people, is the depth that you can take as a chiropractor of really seeing them from multiple angles, and also being conscious and aware of the ways that they're releasing tension, or they're releasing certain toxicities or certain emotional stuckness in the body. Can you describe some of the things that you did to develop your understanding and develop sort of your way of seeing these different sort of beyond the spine or beyond the bone aspects of people?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so for me personally, my sense of those things was always there. And I think it's there for everybody. We use them in different ways. We use our intuitive skills, and that's what I'm going to call them, in different ways. So when somebody you love is having a bad day, you can sense it. So maybe they're in the next room, or they're 1,000 miles away. There might be an inkling of, oh, I really need to call this person. There's 1,000 little things that cue us into this information that is floating around us all the time, um, and how to interpret it. So just like right now, my computer's hooked up to Wi-Fi, my router's in the back. I can't see the information going from my router to the computer, but it's there, a ton of it, right, to stream a live video. And
Mhm.
so we have to understand that that is actually how we operate as humans. A ton of our information is actually unseen, but it is palpatable. You can palpate it. And so BGI was my first step into really organizing that information. For me, it was just kind of like a shit show. Like I would just put my hands on people and I'd be like blasted with information. Like I don't know what to do with all that.
Mhm.
So BGI helped me organize it.
Mhm.
Um, and from there, Sue would do breakout sessions. So the core of BGI was about the geometry and about matching tone and things like that. She would do breakout sessions that would enhance your skills to palpate, this is what this organ feels like, this is what the anger and the emotion in this organ feels like, this is what hormones feel like, this is what lymph feels like, this is what the nerve itself feels like, and then you just kind of go.
Mhm.
And once you know how to not know for a minute what your hand is on until the information hits you, and then you learn,
Mhm.
once you know that, you can feel anything. Whether it's an emotion or a chemical or a past experience or a present experience, what it doesn't matter. Once you know, I teach my own seminars called tonal palpation,
Mhm.
and that's what we do. We go through the layering of this is what all these things feel like, and the key, and I call it dynamic visualization, is to just let your hands be on the person without going into them and trying to find something without um, we practice it. There's this level of connection where it's complete openness to receiving information and complete awareness for that person of being seen. And in that space, the information will hit your brain, and you might not be able to make sense of it right away, but you feel it. And then maybe it takes an hour or a couple days depending on what it was, and your brain starts to interpret the electromagnetic signals it was getting. And so
Mhm.
you just have to be okay with knowing that you're going to be learning all the time. And you have to be okay with not knowing what it is, but knowing that you feel something. So once
Mhm.
you practice that, you are set for life on the infinite possibility of the universe. And it's
Mhm.
just, you just have a front row seat to whatever the universe can send your way. And
Mhm.
you're listening. You are an authentic listener. And
Mhm.
that's it started with BGI, but what I got out of BGI was listening through my hands, and that
Mhm.
was the most important thing that I got. And Sue taught me how to do that, and it's just gone on and on ever since.
Mhm. Yeah, the audience for this discussion is intended to reach people that are either in high school, college, maybe transitioning careers. And one of the fundamental aspects that I'm promoting within the context of pre-Chiro is listening hands. And it's not so much what you touch, but it's how you're listening through that touch.
Yeah,
And it's how you're listening without the touch. But that skill of listening, I'll call it a skill because I think that it is something that you develop. I agree with you that we all have that inherently within us and innately within us, but we also can develop it and kind of uncover it and sort of clean off the antenna, for
absolutely.
lack of better analogies, so that we can listen deeper. How did you develop your own seminar? For any students out there, I'm really challenging them to get creative early on and challenging them to kind of step into what they're passionate about, what they believe is not being shown to their local community. In this context, it's campus community. But can you share kind of how you've brought it to your own seminar, and also not to give you two questions that are kind of different from each other, but you mentioned infinite possibilities. Can you share some of the stories that you've seen, or some of the things that you've seen in practice?
Sure, yeah. Um, I do want to say one thing before I answer those questions is you're absolutely right. It is a skill. Everybody can do it. Every single person can do it. At the beginning of that last monologue, I said it was my unique experience, that I had already been feeling these things since I was a kid and I just didn't know. But that is not the majority of the people in our BGI community or the community in general. It is, you can learn it. It's right there. It's all right there. And so um, I think you're absolutely right. It is a skill. Mhm.
Hmm. Thank you.
Your first question.
What are some of the experiences that you've had in practice that you can shine a light on and say, hey, these are some of the miraculous, spontaneous changes that I've witnessed or been a part of experiencing? And then also, like, where you're at right now, developing seminars and teaching and facilitating,
Right.
where that came from, and the desire to do that, and that creative process.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to answer that one first. Um, the seminars. So the seminars were born out of a need that I saw of deepening palpation skills. The things that we learn in the outbreak sessions of BGI are really beautiful, and those were where I had the most fun. I loved it, and I wanted more and more and more. And when Sue, do I want to tell this story? No, sorry, let me skip ahead. Sue had asked me to teach something, and I taught it at the last big conference we had before she passed. And I saw that what I was experiencing in people's bodies was helping other people understand the body more. And it took me a while to really have enough trust and faith that I had something to say at all. And that was most of the journey, was finding the self confidence that my words had worth to anyone other than me and the people in my practice. So I would, if I'm giving anybody a recommendation or encouragement, I would say just know that your unique perspective, what you know, what you feel is needed. It is needed in the world. It is more than enough to share with people and be worthy. And we need it. The more colors we have on the palette of chiropractic from a really true, authentic place inside yourself, the better. And so as long as it's being driven from here, and not from here or from here, but from here, freaking go for it. Just do it. And whatever that journey and process is for you to get there is also fuel for your own growth and what you're going to be teaching people. So be real with the process and be creative and have fun. It's fun. Um,
Mhm.
in
I
my
guess
practice,
unpack what's so fun about it. What is some of the fun that you've had in practice,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
witnessing different miraculous changes, or just things that were surprising to you?
Sure, yeah. Honestly, since we're speaking about what we love, I love the animal work. Um, and that's where I have the most fun. I see dogs and cats and small animals in my office, and then I travel to do horses. The miracles with animals are so rampant and quick and effortless. It's just like, oh yeah, great. I went from not being able to walk to walk. My dog was dying and now he lived another 5 years. This horse was colicking and needed 3 injections and he got adjusted once and now he's fine. It just happens all the time. My introduction to that was the first real miracle I saw in chiropractic when I was 16 or 17. Our dog, our small miniature schnauzer, had gotten into some rat poison, and we took him to the vet. He was hemorrhaging and bleeding from his eyes. It was not good. And the vet just said he's gonna die. He's gonna bleed out. We might as well just put him down now. And in my brain, I was like, no, we're bringing him to the chiropractor. I had never seen an animal adjusted at that point. I didn't even know it was a thing. But something in me just said, bring him to the chiropractor. And we brought him to the chiropractor. He got adjusted. And 2 days later, it looked like nothing had ever happened to him. He was totally fine. And I was just like, I want whatever that is, whatever that was, I want it. And I see that with my people in practice all the time. I get recommended, people bring their animals to me. They watch their animal get adjusted and they're like, yep, I'm coming in now. And so you can't deny it. You cannot deny chiropractic through an animal. And
Mhm.
it's really beautiful. So those things happen all the time, miracles
Mhm.
with the animals, and there's so many. But
If I'm a student that wants to go become a veterinarian, um, do you have any resources that are out there that I can go witness animal chiropractic or a chiropractor working with animals? And also, how would you differentiate the practice of sort of a veterinarian doctor from a chiropractic doctor, and how they work with animals and how they check animals?
so being an animal chiropractor is very different than being a veterinarian who uses chiropractic. I'm going to say it specifically that way because that's a majority of it. It's not everybody. Versus there are some people who are veterinarians and only use chiropractic because they've fallen in love with it. Um, what I'm going to, sorry, rein it back in. That would have been a tangent.
That's cool. No, no, no. Go off on that tangent because I think it's very relevant to
Okay.
differentiate, and I think that differentiating animal chiropractor from veterinarians who practice chiropractic adjusting is a really good differentiator.
So a lot of vets are sending their associate vets in their practices to chiropractic programs. In order to get into a full animal chiropractic program, you have to be a chiropractor already or a veterinarian, and that's it. So a lot of veterinarian practices are employing that as a modality, like nutrition or acupuncture or herbs. And so it becomes just part of how you're treating the animal. And if you're treating the animal, no matter what modality you're using, you're still treating the animal. And so it loses the philosophy behind it. And it actually really loses, not on everybody, some of the art behind it. Because if you think about how, as a chiropractor, how much time we spend palpating, really, really palpating, you apply that beautiful listening through your hands to an animal, beautiful. We are way ahead of the game as a chiropractor working with animals versus a veterinarian doing chiropractic on animals. They don't have the same palpation skills. They don't have the same adjusting skills. All you're doing are taking your adjusting skills and applying it to a smaller frame with different angles of the vertebrae and maybe different numbers of vertebrae and a difference in connection to them. But the skills we have to offer these animals, like bar none, the best. The program that I went to was Options for Animals out in Kansas City. There were 30 people in my class. 5 of us were actually chiropractors. So now we have all these animal chiropractors out there, but most of them are vets and they don't actually know what they're doing. For me, that's a problem. Again, not everyone, but if you are interested in animals at all and serving animals, it is highly rewarding. We need more good chiropractors doing it. It turns people onto it without words. The philosophy, the art, the science, the actuality of it just lives in the moment of this adjustment with this animal, and you can't deny it. You can't deny it. And so it speaks the chiropractic story for you. And it's huge. It's huge. And people want it. They want to see it. They want to believe in this beautiful thing. Sometimes their own ego can get involved, but when they watch it on an animal, when they watch how gentle you are with their animal and how you can connect with them, you don't have to say a damn word. You don't have to say a
Mhm.
damn word.
Mhm.
Um, so there are resources if you want to watch. or observe that, you can go to the IVCA, which is the International Veterinary Chiropractic Association, or the AVCA, the American Veterinarian Chiropractic Association. Both of them have their directory, or what's it called? You know,
Yeah.
of people. And you can search for somebody in your area and just ask to go observe them, go see them. Go to the Options for Animals website, ask them if they have a recommendation in your area of somebody you could go observe. Jay Kumaric, ask Jay Kumaric. Ask me, ask anybody. I don't know, just ask around. There are more animal chiropractors than you think. Just look in your area, just Google search in your area, and just ask if you can come watch, and ask questions. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think it could look like to have a college student spending 4 years before they go to chiropractic school, studying some of the fundamentals, some of the things that are really important and that, just grow over time and get refined over time, that, 4 years is a great sort of setting of the table for another 4 years or another 3 years of formal professional education, which then gets culminated in you going out and serving at that professional level. Can you just kind of, I guess it's a shifting of the trajectory, right? Because usually you go to school, to chiropractic school, and then you have those like 4 years when you get out of chiropractic school to keep refining and keep growing and keep developing yourself. But I'm trying to kind of bring that to the beginning part. You being 16 and going into it, what do you think you were capable of that you weren't being challenged to do in your undergrad years that would have served you, knowing what you knew you went through in chiropractic school?
Just digesting your questions. I think actually the skill that, not the skill, the thing that helped me the most, I think, was I actually was so young. And here's why. I learned very quickly in school that I couldn't listen to other people's experiences. Their experiences weren't mine. The classes people failed or said were really hard weren't, and other things were for me. I was always a little bit off. And so I tried to rely on my community of people to try and like see what was ahead and prepare for it. And I got slapped in the face every time, metaphorically. And it took me maybe a year to really go, okay, my path through this is not the same as other people's. And I need to listen. So that listening is what will give you what you need. So if you are in a 4-year school prior to going to chiropractic school and you want to go, just listen. Just start listening. Whatever that listening is, just do it, because only you and whatever that big thing is that guides us, that's you. That's you. And there's nothing I could say that would be an all encompassing other than this. Just listen. And when you get the listening, don't just go, oh, I heard you, and then shove it to the back of your head. Take the action step. Oh, I'm driving my normal route today, and all of a sudden I feel the need to turn right. I never turn right. I'm not going to turn right. Freaking just turn right. Just turn right. Just start listening and taking the action step from the inside to the outside. And that's where you start to meet the current of the universe, and it will take you wherever you need to go. And if that leads you to going to massage school first, or going to a research program because you're going to do research for chiropractic, great, great, whatever it is. Start listening sooner, and not just listen, because people listen, but they don't believe what they're hearing. Action. Take action to the listening sooner. Don't wait. Don't listen to other people. Yes, listen to other people, be inspired by other people, but only listen to be inspired by them being on their own journey so authentically, because that's what we need. We need people to do that. So No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, if you're listening to this because you're interested in chiropractic, you are listening to something. My suggestion would be to sit afterwards, sit with it, listen, write down any thoughts that came to you, and just start collecting your own information for if there is an action step to take it.
Mhm.
That's the best thing I could say because there's so many ways you can go and it's really unique to each person. The
Mhm.
common denominator is you gotta listen and take action to that internal voice. Truly,
Mhm.
truly. Don't follow the crowd.
Mhm.
Does that help?
I actually don't even want to say any more words after I've like allowing you to speak, keep speaking, because what you're saying is so on point, and it's so the core of the message that I'm trying to build in the hearts and the minds of the people that are looking for purpose, looking for a path that's going to serve them and is going to be deep enough that they can go and explore it for the rest of their time where they're on this planet and looking to make change or looking to be the change. So no, thank you. Well said. Appreciate it. It's really the most important thing. There's a lot of information that I'm going to be throwing at people that are in the earliest part of their chiropractic journey. But it's just to get them to listen more, and it's just to get them to ask themselves, does this resonate with me? No? Okay, that's fine. It doesn't mean that you need to just throw it all out. It's just what does, teasing out the pieces that are in alignment with who you understand yourself to be,
Yeah.
and then moving forward stronger, knowing what you like and don't like. I think that's I just want people to be exposed. I went to a school in the Northwest that didn't really have any chiropractic in it. And then I transferred to Life West, which had a lot of chiropractic in it. And I just recognized, wow, I had no idea what chiropractic was before school. I chose my school for the wrong reasons. I lost a lot of money transferring. I
Wow.
got exposure to some amazing things, including Sue Brown, when I was down at this school that I transferred to. And people at the school I started at are never going to get that exposure. So, collecting that information and then organizing it for yourself is really the goal and the gift of pre chiropractic or pre chiro.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing all that. That's really cool. That's where you started.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
you made me think of a nice analogy for part of this topic. I had somebody in the office yesterday, and he was like, "I think I'm gonna stop drinking coffee." I was like, "Okay, great. Does that feel good to you?" He's like, "Ah, as soon as I said that, I want to go get a coffee right now." And I was like, "Okay, does that feel right to you?" Um, in his mind, there were only two options: coffee or no coffee. And so the minute he said, I think I want to stop coffee, the bounce back thought was, I want coffee. And it was because he was forcing his brain into only two options. There's a lot of options. There are a lot of options. So if you have the thought and then you automatically go to the answer you want and it bounces back to you like, no, 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 I don't want that. Remember that there's a whole gradient in between. And so have the thought, but take time to sit with the thought and go, okay, I automatically went to my normal, which is I'm just going to stop drinking coffee. It bounces back to me immediately and ricochets back at me. Okay, great. That's not the answer. What is it? Oh, I want to have my coffee at a different time of day. Oh, I want to change how much coffee I'm having. Oh, I want to add coconut oil to my coffee. There's a million options, and it's not options, there's just what your body and your mind and your heart actually want. And so if you are having a thought of change and you automatically go to what you think the answer is going to be and it automatically you hit a wall, that doorway is open. You recognize that because you're having the thought. Your brain cannot take you to places that you have never been before. So you have to sit and you have to let it just happen. It just takes 5 minutes. Just sit. Okay, I don't think I want to have coffee anymore. Why don't I want to have coffee anymore? Oh, I feel it in my body here. Okay, I don't know what that is. Oh, I feel like I'm having too much in the morning. Oh, I'm dehydrated in the morning I need to have a glass of water, maybe wait an hour and then have my coffee. Yeah, that feels right. Okay, great. I didn't have to get rid of coffee. I just had to change it and get some water in me beforehand. Fantastic. That is applicable to everything. So remember, you're having these thoughts for a reason, but you have to, this is where the brain work comes in. You have to create a flexible mind so that the information can come through you. And that's true if you're a chiropractor or not. This is life. This is being human. We get so regimented in our minds of what we think the answer is going to be based on what we've learned from our environment, from other people, based on what we think is right. There is no thinking in right. There is no thinking in wrong. There is no right and there is no wrong. It is just this. And this is always going to be right, even if it looks shitty. It's still right because you have to go through it. So you have to apply two concepts to yourself when you are starting to do this listening that we were talking about before. One, get out of the brain, get into listening deeply, and your body will tell you. You'll maybe identify like, ooh, I think about coffee and I get a pain in my shoulder. What's the pain in my shoulder? Just sit with it. Just keep asking the questions. What's there? What's there? And feel what's actually there. Recognize if you have a random memory all of a sudden as soon as you think about your shoulder. Oh my God, I didn't know those were linked. Okay, and you just keep following the breadcrumbs. And then the other thing, so besides relaxing your brain and realizing it's not coming from there, is understanding that no information is ever lost, and every answer that you're ever going to need is right here. All of it, from now until the end of time, every bit of any information ever, it's right here. Just sit with it and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you're a chiropractor or not. This is being human. This is being an alive, conscious, aware, active human, which I believe is that access point for anybody is bigger than ever. The planet is going through major shifts over the last few years. I see it in the people in my practice. People want to know how to wake up inside themselves. And as chiropractors, it's not about adjusting. It is about waking up inside yourself. And so if you learn how to wake up inside yourself, no matter what that process is, you are going to be able to help people wake up inside themselves with your words, your adjustment, your action, a hug. It doesn't matter. Just do it. I don't know why I just did that.
Yeah, and I am that. I am that as a chiropractor. What you just described, I am that. I was that before I was even knowing that I was going to become a chiropractor. I was that person that was sitting with my questions of what is going to make me happiest? How can I see myself doing something that's going to be exciting, that's going to be alive for me? And what you just described, I am that. Like I was that. That was the seed that was planted inside of me of just find the best path for you based on what you love, find the best path for you based on what you get excited about doing, and I'll be it doesn't matter what that is. If people don't want to become chiropractors because we asked them important questions and they came to a true inner truth that, hey, this just doesn't feel like the right direction for me, great, the work has been done there. So yeah, no, thank you for being so articulate and putting words to what I really would love students to embark on within themselves. Like, this is what college is about, or this is what high school is about.
Yeah.
Sitting with the most important questions that you have come to based on information that you've collected that's out there. And just putting this information out there is so important.
And knowing, I just want to say, I think one more thing. Knowing that you're not alone is really important. Knowing that sometimes we do get stuck in our headspace and we think something is right for us. There are signs and guidance external to your body that will help kind of bumper you. Listen to those. Listen to those. And pay attention to when they actually do happen because they're real. You're not making it up. It's okay that you follow them. And recognize that it's not just about you, but it is about you at the same time. And just trust. Just trust.
Yeah, there's not really much more to be said. I think that you pretty much did a great job
Nailed it.
Instead of ending this right this moment, I would love to, this doesn't have to be part of the interview, but I would love to just have this be a recorded moment, just because I'm curious what your feedback is in relationship to it. So if I have a conversation with somebody in my practice yesterday who's from South Korea and tells me, it really upsets me that people in South Korea don't see the chiropractor. There's really no chiropractors in the whole country. If a school opens in South Korea and claims that they're a chiropractic school, how do we contextualize chiropractic to that population of people that might be considering going to that school? And how do we how do we grow chiropractic in places and parts of the world where there's really no chiropractors and there's millions of people? And I guess the real question that I have for you is like, what's your feelings on the profession's pathway, like the trajectory that the profession is taking, and how do you see this whole thing unfolding? Obviously, we have no clarity as to what the future holds for the profession, but what could it hold? What's the potential that the profession has, considering how amazing the people inside of it are?
I have thought about this a lot and so many times over the years. Depending on which stage you caught me at, the answer would be a little different. Um, I used to want to fight really hard to wake the world up. And then I realized that fighting is still fighting no matter what you're fighting. And so I chose growth and life and cultivating the seeds that are there. And when you do that person by person, situation to situation, it just grows. It just grows. And it's not my, I don't know where I am with this thought yet, but I'm going to say it out loud. I think I relinquished control about making it my job to save people, which I used to do. I want to swim with the people who are already swimming to make that bigger and let the current take it. Which brings us back to just do what you got to do. Just listen. And if the stronger you swim inside that current, it's all going to go. So if that current is for somebody, yeah, I want to open a school. Yeah, I want to fight it. Great. The world is shifting, and you don't need everybody to be on board to get to the tipping point. But we do need the people. So the world is fractal, right? So in each person, if they're at the tipping point and you are the piece that brings them to the tipping point, that's one more person that's all the way in. Great. Not let me save everybody and get everybody to here, but nobody tips over. That's such a waste of energy. Mm-hmm. If you keep getting to the tipping point inside yourself of continuing to give and do your purpose, it's going to naturally collect all the other people who are doing their tipping point, and it's just going to happen. It's like David Shiner years ago did a big conference at Life, and I don't remember if it was actually him. It might have been him that actually said it. He talked, and this has stuck with me. He talked about when a caterpillar is in the cocoon and becoming a butterfly. There's at some point the caterpillar just dissolves into this enzymatic goo, right? Have you heard this story before? It's just goo. Pure potential. At some point, this little thing pops up. It's called an imaginal cell. That's what it's actually called, an imaginal cell. And it pops up, and then the enzymes eat it. Pop up, eat it. Pop up, eat it. It's not until the rate at which the imaginal cells outrates the enzymes that a butterfly grows and you have a new life form. So just keep popping up And if that popping up is somebody inspired to do a school in Korea and wherever, and we keep popping up, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Nobody, I don't know what happens in that space when an imaginal cell is just coming up. I don't know. Maybe I could guess, but it's just pure energy coming up. And I think the things that are ready to house that kind of energy for shifting will happen authentically as long as we're awake to them. So it still comes back to the same: be awake, listen, take action. Be awake, listen, take action. Be awake, listen, take action. Don't try to force something. You don't fight the forces, you use them, right? Sue Brown used to say it all the time: don't fight the forces, use them. Whatever's moving through you, just use it. And that will build what we need. And my brain wants to say, God, yeah, we need a school everywhere. Why aren't more people doing? My brain so badly wants to say that all the time. My heart and my growth and my learning know that it's all going at the rate that it needs to, and we're going to be okay. I know that. I know we're going to be okay. I know it. So
yeah, so it gets into that ego versus spirit versus, you know, who we actually are. And for years, the slogan of the profession has been, you know, chiropractic is not a career, it's a vocation. It calls you in. It's not something that we need to actively promote, that we need to actively grow, because that comes out of the ego or that comes out of the educated mind. And like it or not, to me, it's gotten us a very fragmented situation where the schools don't talk to each other, students at the schools don't talk to each other, the schools are not present on college campuses. Chiropractic is not in college health centers. Chiropractic is not even being spoken about by guidance counselors who specialize in healthcare. This is all just like happening for decades.
I know. I know.
And is it because chiropractors get to the point where it's like things are the way they are because they are the way they are, and we need to just allow them to be and continue to look at what's most important to us, and that learning and that growth internally, and like you said, swimming with the people that are swimming? Or do we need to surrender to the reality that if we keep allowing things to head the way they're going, the profession is going to keep contracting, maybe naturally because it needs to contract because it's too spread out and it's too far out there. But I just feel like the nucleus of the profession is so strong. Like the people, the people have learned and grown and evolved and are super awake and super like charged up in their own little imaginal cells. And those imaginal cells are not being fed on by the enzymes because they're not, because it's all about the loudest voice wins, and that's not what's important to chiropractors, being the loudest voice. But and you know, maybe this is just the political agendas, and maybe this is the school's agendas not really matching chiropractors, you know, way of being in the world. But I just feel like it's going to take like a glitch in the system or a break in the system for a chiropractor who's woke to be like, hey, I just need to share all my friends with the people that are out there looking for a path of purpose, and that's going to catch like wildfire. Like there's a new school in Australia that just started 2 weeks ago. There's a new school in Brazil starting next year in the name of chiropractic, but they don't really have infrastructure to lean on. You know, we don't have millions of dollars being funded into these projects. So anyway, I'm just riffing for a moment with you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, I think I gotta catch up with what the end, because I had a thought, but I need to bring the rest of that information you just said. I think if I look at the big picture, sincerely, if I look at the big picture, the heart of chiropractic is not about forcing or pushing or ego. It is about people coming to their own truth in their own time. And even if we think we're right, if we think we're right, look at anybody who thinks that they're right versus just sharing information. Look at who they become just even a couple years into it. Different modalities, Bikram yoga, whatever, like whatever. Think about whatever you want. We're here to share, and we're not here to make people believe us or make us right. Because if we make us right and the only way, guess who we just became? We're not that. And there's a reason why we're not that. I think that everybody should get adjusted. I think everybody should experience this because I want people to experience life and joy and living and being alive from the inside out and feeling that connection to your own worth, your own purpose. Like, yeah, I want everyone to feel that. What kind of world would that be if we all felt that? I don't know. That's not my job to figure out how to balance the universe. That's the universe's job. I can just be who I am in it. And I do wish that we were in a world where that was it. I don't know what that would look like. It might be weird, but we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would just be commonplace. Yeah, great.
Mhm.
Right? What'd you do? I time travel today, space travel today. Great. Okay, fantastic. We are where we are. And no matter what, no matter what is going on in the world, we don't lose the faith, the light, the heart of giving and serving and doing. We don't make anybody wrong and we don't make anybody right. We just meet the system where it is and love it there. That is it. That is it.
Mhm.
So,
The last thing I'll say is just that, when I was in chiropractic school, there was a card given to me, and on one side of the card it said solution, and on the other card side it said situation. And there's people that are focused on the situation, there's people that are focused on the solutions.
yeah,
And the energy that I'm coming from with this pre-Chiro project is really just how can we creatively build solutions that are beyond sending people to chiropractic school, but using chiropractic as the vehicle for people in a pre-chiro context, outside of some of the indoctrinations that are experienced in chiropractic schools from day one of how to think, of how to be in your journey. And it's like using that quote unquote pure potential that you talk about with the imaginal cell, seeing everybody as a pre-Chiro student as having so much more potential than they think is possible, and how they could catalyze change. That's to me the biggest sort of essence of this solution that I'm bringing forth with pre-Chiro.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so grateful that you're doing it. Yeah, it's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's great to be seen. I appreciate you so much for the energy you brought to the call today. And yeah, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you need anything or you want to talk, you want to share, reach out. I'm here.
I will. I will most definitely.
Have a great day.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Cheers.